Hi everyone, it's Elliot from TutorialEdge.net, and in this tutorial we're going to be looking at how you can get up and running with ImmuDB in Go. So ImmuDB is an up-and-coming new immutable database technology that also happens to be written in Go. It's completely open sourced, and I'll leave a link to the GitHub repository in the description below. So why should you care about immutability? Well, there's actually quite a number of different use cases where having an immutable database or data source is actually incredibly important. Now let's imagine, for example, you're dealing with a stock trading application and you have, say, an event-driven system that acts upon any new trades coming in. Now say we get a trade from Lord Fauntleroy over here that says to buy GameStop for $1 million. Now our stockbroker app will hopefully try and store this trade as an immutable event within the database, and then another system or another trading system could then read this event from the database and then act upon it. Now, this is an incredibly high risk situation. After all, you could be dealing with trades that are worth millions of dollars, like this one. Now, you need a certain level of guarantees built into your system to ensure that you can either troubleshoot what has gone wrong or validate that everything is working as intended. And this is exactly where ImmuDB fits in. In this given scenario, we could effectively store each incoming stock transaction as an immutable event that is cryptographically coherent and verifiable in our database. We can then design our systems to act upon these events and make the appropriate changes or make the appropriate stock transactions. Now, this is definitely an oversimplified example, but hopefully it does give you some insight as to why you would need to use ImmuDB or any immutable database technology within your systems. So with that covered, let's dive into Visual Studio Code. And we're going to start off by trying to run an instance of ImmuDB locally with Docker, and then we're going to try and connect to that instance before doing some insertions and some reads. Cool, so now that we're in Visual Studio Code, you'll see that I've got a terminal open at the bottom of my screen. Now the first thing we want to do is to run docker pull code notary / ImmuDB, like so. And that'll fetch the latest Docker image from Docker Hub, and we'll then be able to run it on our local machine as a container. Cool, so that's completed. Next, let's clear the screen, and then let's run docker run it and dash mode. We want to bind the ports 3322 to the container port 3322, as well as another port 9497 to port 9497. Let's give it a name. So ImmuDB YouTube, and the image we want to use is code notary / ImmuDB latest, like so. Cool. So that has hopefully kicked off a Docker container running the code notary ImmuDB latest image for us on our local machine. Cool, so now that we have that Docker container running, let's dive into the main.go file within our project, and let's start creating a simple Go app that will effectively connect to this container instance and then do some reads and writes. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to initialize our Go project using go mod init. I'm going to do github.com/tutorialedge/go ImmuDB tutorial, and we have now initialized our project. Next, I'm going to install the ImmuDB SDK, so go get -u github.com/code notary/ImmuDB. Perfect. Cool. So the next thing we want to do is to set up a run function, which will return an error. And we're going to keep the structure of this app nice and simple for now and just do everything with the main.go file. But in future videos, we're going to start fleshing this out and creating the appropriate package structure for this application. For now though, let's do the following. So let's create a new client. So client or error is equal to immu client.new immu client, and we're going to pass in the mu client.default options, like so. Next, we want to check the error, so if error does not equal nil, log.fatal the error. Save that. And you'll notice we've used these undefined functions or packages for now. So let's import them. So I'm going to do mu client is equal to github.com/code-notary /mudb/package/client. And that's all we need for now. Cool. So let's just below this create a new context for our application to run in. So context is equal to context.background. And then let's log in with the default username and password. So lr is equal to error client.login. We're going to pass in this context. We're going to pass in a byte slice. And this will have MUDB like so. We're using the backticks just to note. And then another byte slice and MUDB once again. Cool. Next we're going to do if error does not equal nil, then log.fatal the error once again. Perfect. Cool, so we've hopefully been able to log in at this point using the client.login method. Next we need to effectively create a new context. So AMD is equal to metadata.pairs, and this is going to be authorization like so. We're going to pass in the LR or the login response.token, and then we're going to set the context equal to metadata.new outgoing context. So as you can see, the outgoing context creates a new context with outgoing MD attached, and context.background and MD like so. Cool. So on saving that, you'll notice that it's imported the google.golang.org/grpc/metadata package. So if it hasn't imported that, then you can add that now. Cool, so now that we've been successfully able to log in with the username and password and the default options, let's now try and do a verified set. So one thing I want to note is I've added return error here. I also want to do return error here as well. Cool. So let's dive in. So VTX, so verified transaction or error is equal to client.verified set. We want to pass in the context as the first argument, and then the key, which is going to be a byte slice, which we're going to set to welcome, and then the value, which is going to be a byte slice, and the value is just going to be welcome gophers, like so. As we're getting an error, let's validate this or check it. So if error doesn't equal nil, then log.fatal the error and return the error as well. And just below this, we want to do fmt printf and successfully set key, pass in the ID, which is %d, and we'll use verified transaction.id with transaction ID, like so. Cool. So let's add return nil at the end because we're not returning any errors. And then let's update the main function. So let's do if error is equal to run, error does not equal nil. We'll do fmt.println error running application. Otherwise we should only see this and the successfully set with transaction ID print statements. Cool, so let's run this now. Go run main.go. And as you can see, hey mum, I'm on the TV and successfully set the key with transaction ID 1, like so. Perfect. Next, we want to do a verified get. So let's go back up into this run function, and just below our last fmt.printf statement, let's do the following. So v entry or error is equal to client.verified get, passing in the context once again, and we want to pass in the byte slice for the key, which is welcome. Once again, let's check the error. So if error does not equal nil, log.fatal the error and return the error. Otherwise, let's say the following. So fmt.printf successfully retrieved and verified entry, and we're going to use %v/n, passing in the v entry. And we also want to do a new line character just there as well in the previous fmt.println or printf statement. Cool, so let's try and run this now. So go run main.go, and we should see that it's successfully set a new key or a new transaction within the database with an updated ID of 2, and we've then been able to successfully verify the latest entry with the welcome key and retrieve the value for gophers. Perfect. So this is an important point to note. It hasn't updated the existing entry within the database, which has a key value of welcome. It's instead created a new entry in that database and given it a new ID, and then we've been able to successfully retrieve the verified entry using that key. Cool, so that's all we're going to cover in this video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, then please let me know in the comment section down below, and leave a like and subscribe for more programming content. And if you're interested, I am now starting to offer premium courses on my site that cover things like building REST APIs in Go. So I'm going to also leave a link to that in the description below. Cheers.